There comes a moment when everything you thought you were collapses. Not gently, but like a building imploding from within. It's not quiet. It's not graceful. It's terrifying. You look in the mirror and don't recognize the one staring back. You weren't staring. The ambitions that once burned in your chest now feel hollow. The victories feel like dust. And the name you spent years trying to make doesn't move you anymore. This is ego death, and it feels like the end. But it isn't. It's the door you never wanted. That leads to the place you've always needed. Outsideren. You thought you were losing everything. But what you're really losing is the lie, the noise, the mask, the addiction to being seen, being praised, being a someone. And now you stand in the silence, raw, unlabeled, free. So you ask, how do I find motivation now? When nothing feels like mine anymore. When nothing calls me like it used to. When the fire is out and the crowd is gone, and I'm left with just me. Good. Now you can hear what really matters. Now you can rebuild. Not from ambition, but from alignment. Not from pressure, but from purpose. Ayan and Iber. Not to impress the world, but to fulfill your soul's assignment. The motivation you're looking for won't come from a checklist. It won't come from quotes or coffee or another plan. It will come from stillness, from surrender. From the quiet voice you buried under years of proving yourself. You are not here to be famous. You are here to be faithful. To the truth planted inside you before the world told you who to be. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're becoming. Let the emptiness stay for a while. Don't rush to fill it. It's sacred. It's fertile. Ground. Everything real begins in emptiness. Motivation isn't always loud. Sometimes it whispers, a breathe, begin again. Just one step. That's enough. You don't need to find the old fire. You need to build a new one. One that burns not for status, but for service. Not to be seen, but to see clearly. Not to see clearly, not to rise above others, but to rise into who you really are. Let the ego die. Let the identity go. Let the false self fall. What remains is truth. And that is enough. Start from that place. Start with what you know is real now. Your breath, your heartbeat, your awareness. Start with the pain and let it point you to purpose. This isn't the end of your story. It's the chapter where the mask falls off and the soul begins to speak. You don't have to pretend anymore. You don't have to perform. You just have to show up. Because what's rising in you now isn't ego, it's essence. And essence never burns out. You're not here to chase motivation. You're here to embody it. To be a living reminder that rising from nothing is still rising. That even when you lose yourself, you can still find your spirit. That's where the real power lives. And now, if you truly wish to find your new fire after the death of who you thought you were, these are not steps. These are waves, sacred strategies whispered to the soul. Here are 7 wave points to rebuild your motivation after ego death. 1. Anchor yourself in eternal truth, not temporary identity when the ego dies. So does everything you attached yourself to. Your name, your image, your status, your I am this and I do that. It all crumbles. It all crumbles. And the reason it hurts is because you built your worth on something that wasn't built to last. Temporary identity is like writing your story in sand during a storm. One wave, and it's gone. But eternal truth? That's the stone beneath it. That's your soul, untouched by praise or shame, fame or failure. You must now ask yourself, who am I without the image? Without the applause? Without the performance? That's when you'll find the real answer. You are not your name. You are not your trauma. You are not your past. You're not your past. You are not your followers. You are eternal awareness clothed in human form. You're the one who watches the story, not the story itself. You're the breath behind every label, the silence underneath every scream, the soul that existed before your first achievement and will remain after your last. You don't find yourself by looking in the mirror. You find yourself by looking into eternity. Ainifo. Unknown anchoring yourself in eternal truth means choosing to root your motivation not in who you want to be seen as, but in what you're called to be. Because the ego wants to be seen, but the soul wants to serve. The ego wants credit, but the soul wants connection. But the soul wants connection. The ego screams, I am somebody. But the soul whispers, I already am. So now, when you rise again, don't rebuild your name. Rebuild your nature. Don't chase identity, chase truth. Don't say, I want to become great. Say, I want to become great. Say, I want to become real. And real doesn't change with trends. It doesn't vanish in failure. It's eternal. So let your new motivation be this, to become so rooted in what never dies that nothing temporary can shake you again. 2. Let service replace the spotlight. Let your soul become your mission when ego dies. So does the desire to be seen. But that doesn't mean your purpose dies. It means your intention gets purified. The spotlight is seductive. It makes you crave approval, applause, attention. But all of that is external light, and it fades. What your soul is after now is internal fire. And that, my friend, is eternal. After ego death, your motivation won't be built on being praised anymore. It will be built on being useful. And there's nothing more powerful than a human who has stopped trying to be admired and started trying to serve. But don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive, and go do it. Because what the world needs is people who have come alive. Howard Thurman, the old you chased the spotlight to feel seen. The new you becomes the light for others to see. You don't need a crowd anymore. You need a cause. You don't need likes. You don't need you need legacy. This is where true motivation is born, in selfless devotion to something sacred. Whether it's healing others, building something meaningful, protecting the vulnerable, speaking truth, or simply being a presence of peace. Let that be your mission now. Because when you serve from the soul, something miraculous happens. You stop performing. You start becoming. You stop asking, what can I get? And start asking, what can I give? And in that giving, your energy returns. Your clarity sharpens. Your power multiplies. You're no longer feeding the ego. You're feeding the world. And nothing will fulfill you more than that. Is success used to mean becoming somebody? Now it means becoming useful. Soul wisdom, so don't run toward the spotlight. Stand where it's dark and light it up for someone else. For someone else. 3. Choose inner stillness over outer speed. Listen more than you act after ego death. Silence becomes your sanctuary. Because for the first time, you're no longer running. Not from expectations, not from shame, not from the need to be something. You're just still. And in that stillness, something sacred begins to rise. The ego moves fast. It's loud. It demands action. Now, it says, if you're not producing, you're not valuable. But the soul speaks in whispers. It reveals, it doesn't rush. It guides, it doesn't push. It guides, it doesn't push. The quieter you become, the more you can hear. Ramdas, you've been taught to grind, to hustle, to always be in motion. But true power doesn't come from how fast you move. It comes from how deeply you listen. Stillness isn't passivity, it's preparation. It's the soil where divine clarity is born. It's where alignment forms before action begins. You don't need more noise. You don't need more distractions, more goals, more checklists. You need space, sacred space. Because in that space, your soul finally has room to breathe. And when the soul breathes, it speaks. The soul doesn't shout. It speaks once and waits for you to slow down enough to hear. Unknown, so before you act, pause. Before you move, sit. Before you chase, listen. Because what you're searching for in the world is already whispering inside you, and it's only in the stillness that you'll finally hear it. Make peace your priority. Silence your strategy. Presence your practice. The world will try to drag you back into the noise. Don't go. There is power in your stillness. There is guidance in your quiet. There is gold in the pause. Let others run fast. Let others run fast. You. 4. Love the journey even if it's quiet. Value direction over noise after ego death. The path ahead isn't filled with claps or cameras. It's quiet, unseen, slow, and that's exactly where your soul starts to grow. See, the ego wanted the destination, the big reveal, the viral moment, the proof of we made it. But the soul is in love with the journey. Not the finish line, but the footsteps. Not the recognition. The way you walk becomes more important than where you're going. Rumi, you've been taught to equate noise with progress, busyness with success. But now you're learning that still direction is more powerful than loud distraction. You can be surrounded by noise and still be lost. And you can be walking in silence and be exactly where you're meant to be. It's not about how fast you move, it's about which way you're facing. This is your season of quiet construction. This is your time in the wilderness, where no one's watching, but heaven is. You are being shaped in silence so you can speak with fire later. Soul wisdom fall in love with the ordinary again. The small daily wins, the slow internal shifts, the walk no one sees but God. Your ego hated this part because it wasn't impressive. But your soul lives for this part because it's real. This is where you learn patience, where you stop chasing dopamine and start developing discipline. Where you stop sprinting for claps and start walking with God. No one may notice now, but the universe is recording. Your consistency is currency. And your quiet is not your weakness, it's your witness. So love the road, even when it's empty. Trust the process, even when it's slow. Because if the direction is right, the destination will take care of itself. 5. Build your fire with divine alignment, not external applause. There comes a moment, and maybe you felt it, when you realize that chasing applause is like drinking salt water. The more you get, the thirstier you become. You hit a milestone, and within minutes, the ego whispers, "What's next? Next." You post something beautiful, and 5 minutes later, you're refreshing to count hearts. Applause fades, but alignment burns forever. This is the moment where you stop asking, will they approve of this? And start asking, is this true to my soul? Because the fire you build from ego, from validation, from fear, from needing to prove something, it always burns out. But the fire you build from divine alignment, that fire turns you into a lighthouse. But don't set yourself on fire to keep the crowd warm. Set yourself on fire with purpose, and let the right ones find your flame. Soul truth when you align with truth, even if no one claps. You feel fulfilled when you align with service, even if it's unseen. Your chest fills with light. When you align with your soul, not society, you no longer need motivation. You become motivation. Let the applause go. Let the pressure go. Let the false urgency go. You don't need to be viral. You need to be vital to your purpose, your mission, your source. Your power begins the moment you no longer seek permission. Unknown divine alignment means doing what you were called to do, even when nobody's watching. It means trusting that one act of obedience is more valuable than 1,000 acts of performance. You were never meant to beg for attention. You were built to burn with clarity. So now, you don't ask, what will they think? You ask, is this what I was made for? If the answer is yes, you light the match, and you let the fire speak for itself. 6. Trust that pain is sacred preparation, not punishment when the ego dies. Pain is the funeral pyre. It burns, it breaks, it brings you to your knees. And in that moment, it's easy to believe you're being punished, abandoned, forgotten, buried. But listen closely. You're not being punished. You're being prepared. The pain is not here to destroy you. It's here to shape you. To empty what was false. To burn away what was borrowed. To carve space inside you for something real. Sometimes when you're in a dark place, you think you've been buried, but really, you've been planted. Christine Kane, everything meaningful you'll ever carry, compassion, strength, wisdom, empathy, is born in the womb of pain. You can't fake depth. You can't download soul. You have to feel it, live it, bleed through it. And after the ego dies, pain becomes your sculptor. It teaches you what success never could. It humbles you, hones you, and hands you the key to your real self. There's no shortcut through this fire. But if you surrender to it, if you let it do its sacred work, you'll rise stronger, purer, clearer than ever before. The fire that was meant to consume you will be the fire that anoints you. Soul wisdom, you are not weak because you're hurting. You're awakening. The ones who walk through pain and stay present, they carry a different light. Not loud, but deep. Not flashy, but unshakable. That's who you're becoming now. So don't resist the pain. Ask it what it's here to teach. Don't numb it. Name it. Don't curse it. Consecrate it. Because one day, not far from now, someone will be drowning in the same fire. And you'll be the one who walks in quietly, holds their hand and says, I know the way. I've been through it. And I didn't just survive, I became. And that is the kind of strength the world needs most. 7. Reintroduce yourself to life not as who you were, but as who you're becoming after ego death. You're not just empty, you're unfamiliar. You walk through old spaces, but they don't feel like home. You speak words that no longer taste like truth. You meet people who only remember the version of you that no longer exists, and you start to ask, if I'm not who I was, who am I now? This is the holy ground between endings and beginnings and beginnings and beginnings, the death of false self and the slow, sacred rising of who you were always meant to be. So don't rush to rebuild the old identity. Don't grab the mask just because it's familiar. Don't shrink yourself to make others comfortable. You're not here to reintroduce the past. You're here to reveal the becoming. The most powerful version of you has yet to be introduced to this world. Unknown, this is the time to walk differently. Choose differently. Choose differently. Even if no one understands you, even if your circle gets smaller, even if your voice shakes. Because this time, you're not performing. You're not chasing. You're not impressing. You are revealing. You are embodying. You are rising. The old you needed validation to move forward. The becoming you needs vision and alignment. Don't seek to be who you were before the pain. Seek to be who you were born to be because of it. You're not starting over. You're starting wiser. Soul truth, the world may not recognize you at first, and that's okay. You're not here to be recognizable. You're here to be real. So reintroduce yourself, not with your title, not with your past, but with your truth. Hi. But with your truth. Hi, I'm becoming and I'm not turning back. You are not who you were. And that's the whole point. So now you stand on the other side of ego death. Not as a victim, not as a shadow, but as a vessel. You're not empty. You're ready. You're ready. You're not lost. You're being led. You're not weak. You're becoming whole. The applause is gone. The masks are burned. The rush is faded. And what remains is something eternal, unshakable, unbothered, unstoppable. You no longer need to chase what was. You're building from what is. Rooted in truth, not image. Moved by mission, not noise. Fueled by stillness, not pressure. Aligned with eternity, not ego. Every scar is now sacred. Every delay divine. Every setback a setup for something deeper. You are not here to return to who you were. You are here to rise into who you were created to become. Let the old flame go out. Let the new fire begin. This time it won't burn out, because this time it's not built from fear. It's built from faith. You've passed through the death. Now walk boldly into the becoming. Walk boldly into the becoming. The world may not recognize you, but your soul finally does. Let's go.